Good evening, everyone, and welcome to BNR. It's me, Gene. Gene's your host, and I'm joined by Jake. Jake, welcome back to the channel. It's been a while, mate. Bloody hell, where the hell have you been?
Yeah, man, it's been a little bit of a while. Glad to be back. I've been, enjoying the time as champions, celebrating, taking a little bit of
Yeah,
vacation. Haven't been in Ibiza or Dubai like the rest of the guys, but I just am enjoying, the last couple of weeks as champions. It's been a good time.
yeah. I'll be honest with you, Jake. I wasn't supposed to do this show today. Yeah, obviously, as I'm hosting, but when the word I saw Adam Wharton, Liverpool being linked with Adam Wharton today. I thought, you know what? I think definitely gonna have to pop on today. But Jake, let's start off. We'll start off with Frimpong. It's been a day, we wake up, we see the news, we see journalists like Fabrizio Romano come out and say it's a matter of time. We have um, Paul Joyce come out and say that Liverpool are ready to activate the release clause for 30 million for Frimpong. And also then you've got David Ornstein come out as well at the same time, basically saying that Liverpool are going to be activating the release clause for Frimpong. It looks like we're pretty well placing in getting the first deal over the line. Number one, first and foremost, your thoughts on the day and also your thoughts on Jeremy Frimpong being the Liverpool's first signing.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. I think this is a
Mhm.
deal that most of us are anticipating, like you said, to be probably the first signing of the summer and to get wrapped up here relatively quickly. It's not a like for like replacement for Trent. So I kind of understand where a lot of the I don't want to say concerns, but maybe some of the question marks that some people have over the player. But I like the signing, to be honest with you. I like the athleticism that he brings. I like the that he has the ability to carry the ball. He obviously brings goals into the team. He's more of an attacking player in the final third as far as creating more so than he is obviously at defending in the final third. So I like a lot of the things that he's going to bring in. When you pair him up with Kirkez, hopefully on the other side, I think you're talking about a big upgrade in athleticism and legs that you're bringing into the team over Robertson
Yep.
and Trent. So I like both of those signings, assuming that both of those get done. As far as Frimpong himself, that going to be the first signing of the summer. I think that's a great signing for the club, especially when you're talking FSG, you're talking about value. I think for that price tag, 30, 35 million, whatever the number is, I think it's a brilliant deal.
Look, exactly. I think that's what we have to look at. We obviously with Trent going, we needed a right back, and I'm going to be honest with you. I really wanted Frimpong, and like you mentioned, he offers us something different. I'm crying out for two fullbacks who are flying fullbacks. A bit of basically a throwback to Klopp in terms of when we had Robertson and Trent, who used to always be, let's say, the fifth and sixth attackers. They were all our creativity down the flanks was always from our fullbacks, and this is what I really want to see back at Anfield because I want us to slightly go a bit more full throttle in terms of our attack. And these two fullbacks will definitely give us that. Of course, there's going to be some question marks over his defensive frailties, but I'm we had frailties with Trent, and I don't mind that. I'm happy that I would rather us be an attacking team rather than a team who sits back, who's a bit more control. Because I felt even though we won the title and I loved it, don't get me wrong, but there was times where I was calling out for Slot to like go for it. But it's been an unbelievable season. But I having to them fullbacks, if we manage to get Kirkez and um what's his name, Frimpong over the line, it'd be an unbelievable start. And look, Jake, I think obviously in terms of bringing him in early, I think it's really important that we do bring him in early. Make sure that he gets a full pre-season under his belt because it's really important that we do that. Who is Fabinho then? Sorry. Anyway, I must have said something. But in terms of what's his name? In terms of the pre-season, sorry, it's really important we bring him in because he does offer us something slightly different to what what's his name? I forgot his name now, Jake. Our right
Trent,
back. No, Trent, the other one.
Connor Bradley.
Connor Bradley. What Connor Bradley offers us. So I'm like really looking forward to seeing him fit into this Liverpool team and having a full pre-season under his belt. We've seen Trent defensively improved this season. Well, I felt that anyway. I know there's a couple of games where he was suspect, but generally speaking, I thought defensively he was a lot better. And I can see, hopefully, if the defensive frailties that Frimpong does have, that hopefully Arne Slot will be able to sort that out and polish him up a bit more defensively, so we can really, really go on attack and defend this Premier League. But all in all, Jake, I'm over the moon. I know this is hopefully this is number one signing through the door early. And there's a few other big names out there that Liverpool are already linked to. But yeah, look, in terms of that, next person, Jake, that we want to speak about, and the chat are always going to be wanting to speak about Florian Wirtz. I'm a massive admirer of Florian Wirtz. Your thoughts on Florian Wirtz, what he offers Liverpool, and where you see him play if we manage to get this signing over the line.
First, before we even get into any of that, the first thing that I can just say is wow. I mean, there's obviously this is a player that we've been known is going to be on the move this summer for months now. This isn't new in the sense that Wirtz is going to transfer out of Leverkusen, so we knew that. But it's a wow because I don't think anybody in our fan base expected us to be in for him. And when the news broke yesterday, and you fast forward to right now, I think a lot of the fans are really starting to gain some confidence and gain some hope that we really are more than just throwing our hat into the name of the into the mix per se, and we're really trying to make a push for this signing. So it's an exciting piece of news for us. Obviously, right now they're just initial talks, and we don't know exactly how serious of contenders we are because Bayern have always been considered the heavy favorites to land this player. But as more and more time passes, I think most of us are becoming a little bit more confident that we can compete with Bayern for his signature. So when you ask me about the player himself, if I'm being honest with you, I think other than Alexander Isak in the entire transfer market, this is probably the most valuable player that's available this summer. If he's not, he's definitely the top two or three. So you can't be anything but excited when you have your name in the mix. This type of player, this caliber of player. I know it's probably not the end all be all, but when you look at transfer market, this guy's worth 150 million euros, somewhere in that neighborhood. You're talking about Alexander Isak probably being worth somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 to 120 million euro, according to that website. But the point of the conversation is this guy's probably the most valuable asset on the entire market for this transfer window. And if we can land this player, it's going to be a statement signing across Europe. So as far as how he fits in the team, you're talking about replacing Trent, and you're talking about replacing his creativity that he brings to the table. You have Frimpong replacing him positionally, but he's not going to be able to deliver what Trent delivers on the ball. When you're talking about on the ball capabilities, now you're talking about replacing him with a player like Trent. Wirtz is going to be able to do that from a on the ball perspective. And in addition to that, he's going to provide a little bit more than what Trent's able to provide as well in terms of goals and assists. I want to say Trent's assists this past season were some in the neighborhood of like 5 or 6 or something like that. Obviously, it's a different league. It's a lower league over there in Germany. But Wirtz is a 20 goal and assist season type of player. Trent doesn't provide that level, obviously, of goals and assists. Wirtz is going to give that to you. And that's the reason why, he's going for 100 to 150 million. Who knows exactly what the price tag is? But he comes into this side. You're talking about a player that can probably play as a second striker. You're talking about a player that can play as a 10. You might even be able to play him on the left side in a 4-2-3-1. So he's going to be able to bring you versatility. And when you're talking about pairing him up with Mo on the other side, you got a lot of options there when it comes to creating and scoring goals.
Yep. And Jake, I think, if from in terms of a Liverpool fan perspective, I think we generally speaking, in terms of when we see fees being branded out on around the 100 million mark, we take it with a pinch of salt because we've been stung previously a few times, but like I put the comment up earlier, Virgil van Dijk said expect a big summer. I can see Van Dijk, players like Van Dijk, Salah, they were going to stay here for another 2 years if they didn't think that this team was ready to go again and again. And when you've got, today we've had Joyce come out and Ornstein come out that that we are in the race for Florian Wirtz. And if there are the murmurs are that there are issues in terms of his parents are unhappy with the way Bayern have conducted themselves last week regarding the deal, coming out with the stuff like, oh, they've agreed to deal with him, and then we were told that he's come to Blackpool and all that. These are signs to say that Liverpool are serious about this signing. Paul Joyce mentioned that we've tracked this player for a number of years, and we can only be excited because if there's one player who I believe that can really elevate us, we can really send shockwaves down, to Manchester City and Arsenal, that we Liverpool mean real business this summer. This is that signing. Florian Wirtz is a signing that definitely, he's a world class footballer who's proven it, who took his side to a league title only a year and a half ago now, and who's a pivotal part to the German national team. And look, he is a beautiful footballer. He fits the bill perfectly. He works his socks off, and he's a player made to play for Liverpool. And I just feel as though he's the player that will thrive at Anfield. We've got Salah for another couple of years. Then there's going to be somebody who is going to have to step up and take that sort of mantle. Florian Wirtz is that type of player who can take over that mantle and take this team to the next sort of level. But Jake, and I want the comments to get involved in this. Look, obviously we know Man City, they're involved in this as well. They're probably looking to bring in a De Bruyne replacement. Look, I'll be honest, from what I've been told, and I don't know anything, guys. What I was told was this race is really between Bayern Munich and Liverpool. Liverpool are really in this race. We want to go after this player, and we're all in. They all dependent on if the player wants to move. Of course, the decision will be with the player, but I genuinely believe that we are ahead of Man City in terms of the race to sign Florian Wirtz. But a question to the people that are in the chat. The three clubs, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, and Man City, where do you guys see this player in the start of August? But which shirt will he be wearing? Will he be wearing the red of Liverpool, the blue of City, or the red and white of Bayern Munich? Because I genuinely believe that we've got a big chance. But Jake, another thing, go on, you were saying?
I was just gonna say, a big kind of question mark that I had for the last, handful of months. People that are watching the show may or may not know this, but people in the group chat will definitely know this. I've been a big proponent this summer of going after heavily Alexander Isak. And obviously that's a dream signing. That's a difficult signing because of the situation that we're facing with Newcastle not only being the club that they are with the amount of money that they have, and in addition to that, probably qualifying for Champions League. But the question mark that I've always raised is if we don't get Alexander Isak, what's next? What's after that? And usually I was thinking in the striker position because that's the position that we probably need the most this summer. But when you're talking about making a statement signing, if you can't land an Alexander Isak, this is the type of signing that you can make that will, like you said, send shockwaves across Europe. And that's the type of statement that we have to make. And I wasn't able to put my finger on it because I never thought Wirtz would be in the equation as a possibility for us this summer. But now that we're here, this is the type of signing that we have to make.
And Jake, look, if you go by for the guys that missed it, Asim did a show earlier today with one of the aggregators from Bayern Leverkusen and Jonah. It was a really, really good show. So for those of you who haven't checked it out, it was the first time I think we've done a midday show. So if you guys can go on the channel, check it out and do have a watch. Do watch the show. He mentioned that Bayern Leverkusen actually have despised Bayern Munich. They've had the issues with the Jonathan Tah deal, and it looks like he will be going to Bayern Munich in the summer on a free transfer. They don't really want to sell to Bayern Munich. So if Bayern Munich, they're going to make it difficult for him. His parents, from what we're being led to have been told, is that they're not too happy with the way Bayern have conducted themselves. We really should be all in if he wants to move abroad. Of course, there's City, but I just think we've positioned ourselves pretty well, even though they probably have. But I think we've positioned ourselves pretty well in this, and hopefully are willing to go. And I don't think we would have positioned ourselves, Jake, this much if we were, number one, weren't willing to pay the fee, and secondly, weren't willing to pay the wages. So I think I'm confident that we can get this deal done. And you're 100% right. When I was looking at Alexander Isak, for me, it was Isak or nobody, Jake, if I'm honest with you. If I was a player, we were hearing murmurings of £90 million for Ekitike and them sort of numbers, sorry. I don't want to be paying £89 million for an Etikite. I want to pay 110, 120 for the Florian Wirtz. That's what I want to see Liverpool do. Put a real statement out there in terms of this signing. And this is what you this is guy, he's a world-class talent. But Jake, a lot of people in the chat, when I asked the question regarding where they see him play, a lot of people are saying that he stays in Germany and he goes to Bayern.
Listen, Bayern have been the favorites all along, and I don't know because some reports have come out today um, that these links, over the last week or so, where he's dead set on going to Bayern, are coming from Bayern's camp, and they're inaccurate. I don't know if that's true or if that's false, but everybody has been led to believe for quite some time now that he was going to go to Bayern. There were reports yesterday that staying at Bayern Leverkusen was an option. I can see that happening. I think he's leaving Leverkusen this summer 100%. The question is where. I don't doubt Liverpool are willing to pay a transfer fee. I don't doubt that they're going to be competitive when it comes to wages. But at that point, it's up to the player. The player has to decide where he wants to go. Does he want to go to Bayern? Does he want to go to Liverpool? Does he want to go to Manchester City? That I can't answer. I have no idea, you know, what type of individual Wirtz is as a person and what he prioritizes for his career. A lot of people prioritize maybe money. A lot of people prioritize staying home, maybe in Germany. A lot of people prioritize going abroad. Maybe he wants to play for Pep. Maybe he wants to play for Liverpool because of the club. It all depends on each individual and what they prioritize. So at that point, when all three clubs are probably, you know, in the same neighborhood as far as financial package. And when you're dealing with, like you said, Leverkusen maybe not wanting to sell to Bayern, maybe that opens the door a little bit wider for us to make a deal happen. Then it comes down to us in City, and it's going to be the player's choice. And at that point, it all depends on what the player prioritizes, like I mentioned. But obviously, all of us as fans are going to sit here and tell each other, if you're picking a club, the better club is ours, and there's no doubt that we all feel that way. So hopefully, he feels the same way.
It's funny because I actually read an article. I think it was Moby who posted it. Somebody posted it, and it mentioned he said that he actually respected a lot of the players that come from abroad to come and play in Germany and that were already playing for Bayer Leverkusen, and it's something that he wants to sort of try in later on in his future. This is me going back a year about going abroad, testing himself, taking himself out of his comfort zone. So
That
that
was
is
the
for
Sports
me.
Illustrated piece that you read.
Yes, that's exactly what it was, and that shows that he probably is one of them that probably wants to go and test himself in another country. And Jonah mentioned on Asim's show today that he's not a player that's he one thing that he said was it won't be money orientated. It's not. I'm not saying that it will be. If he's saying that he's not a guy that's just after the money, it's probably more about where he's going to fit, where he's going to be able to play his best football. And what better place in world football to come right now and play at Liverpool, a team that's the champions of England. You're going to walk into this. That number 10 position is going to practically be his. As much as I love Soboslai, that's going to be his position. It's Liverpool are actually made for him. Of course, the money's there for Man City. Of course, the pull of Pep Guardiola playing for the manager of one of the greatest managers of all time in Pep. That pull will always be there. But with everything that's going on with their 115 charges, all that type of stuff, I just feel as though there's certain players, Jake, that are made to play for the football club, and that Florian Wirtz is one of them that is made to come to Liverpool and hopefully elevate us to the next sort of level. And I agree with you. Look, we don't really know what type of person he actually is, but for the signs that we're getting, that his parents are not weren't happy with the way Bayern conducted themselves. And 2 days later, they sat in Blackpool having meetings with Liverpool or Man City. I don't know if exactly know if Man City had the meeting, but if that's the case, that shows you what type of person his parents are, and that they don't really give a crap about Bayern Munich. If they see the move is right for their son in terms of where he's going to go, then that's where he will go. And there's no better place to come than Liverpool Football Club, Jake.
Yeah, I'm with you. I read that piece also, and from everything that I've gathered, it does sound like his parents are um, pretty involved, obviously, in the actual process. His father is his agent, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
They care about a lot more than just the financial package that's on the table, as you mentioned. It does appear that they were bothered by the way that Bayern Munich have played their hand in all of this. So when you factor all of these things into the equation, you do start to think that he would be a good fit for the type of club that Liverpool FC are. Um, and when you take all that into consideration and the fact that maybe Bayern Leverkusen don't want to sell to Bayern, you really start to think that the chance of us landing him are are strong. So at this point, we can only be hopeful, but it does sound like they're going to take their time during this process. It's not going to be a decision that's made overnight. They're detail oriented people. They're going to cross their T's and dot their I's, and I would imagine that this is going to at least last a couple of weeks before a decision is made.
And another thing, Jake, people have mentioned that there'll be a slightly different price if he comes to Liverpool. Obviously, not if they're quoting Bayern Munich 150 million euros, then the price might be slightly less for a Liverpool or Man City, maybe around the 140, 130 mark, which obviously helped. And there's comments coming that the Bayern sporting director, I think it's Rudi Voller, he can't stand Bayern Munich, and we saw that in terms of because they were hell bent on trying to sign Kai Havertz, but they didn't. He went to Chelsea at the time because they genuinely didn't want to sell to Bayern Munich. And I actually respect Bayer Leverkusen. They're not falling over every time when you see Bayern Munich come for the player, because we've seen the likes of Dortmund, who were their title rivals, all their best players from Götze, Lewandowski, Matt Hummels. I'm sure there's a few others that left Bayern on their peak, left the Dortmund to go to Bayern Munich, and at least they've got the bottle, Leverkusen, to say, you know what, no, we're not going to let our best players go to you. If anything, we're going to let them go abroad. So I think it'll be an interesting summer, but it's a really, really good start to the summer, Jake, if we're being linked to the likes of Florian Wirtz, with them. We saw, I don't know if you saw Milos Kerkez's tweet. I think he replied to Ben Bostak today, when he was speaking about the young player of the year and why it was a travesty that he wasn't selected. And he goes, well, somebody else, as long as somebody else sort of noticed it. I think that's what he meant by the tweet. That was an interesting tweet, Jake. Was he referring to Liverpool's manager being the one that noticed? Was it Liverpool Football Club that are the ones that noticed him play so well?
Yeah, I mean that's what most of us are taking from that tweet. And as I mentioned earlier, this is a player that I'm very eager to get over the line as far as his signature. I'm very happy with bringing additional legs into this team. I think this team is in need of a lot more legs, and when you add Kirkez on one side and hopefully Frimpong on the other side, you're talking about significantly improving the athleticism of this team. And if you're bringing a Florian Wirtz, in that 10 position up top, you're going to need some more legs. Even though he does offer a lot of work rate, you're going to need some more legs behind in the back line to solidify that defense. But as far as Kirkez is concerned, I'd be surprised if he wasn't the second signing of the summer. If we're talking about Frimpong being the first signing, I think Kirkez is going to be the second signing.
And that's a really, really good start to the window then, Jake. If we're able to get the two positions that we really need sorting out pretty much ASAP, and we're already linked to the likes of Florian Wirtz, that is a fantastic start to the summer. And look, I think most of us, I'll be honest with you, I genuinely believe this summer is going to be a summer of madness. I've mentioned it a few times, that phrase, where we will go all out this summer. And I can't see Richard Hughes as Jake. We mentioned Florian Wirtz. We know what happened with the Zubamendi deal. We know what happened in January with the Kvaratskhelia, where we were told that if he wants to move, that Liverpool will be involved. But then PSG was two down the line, and then there was no real point because that's where he was going to go. I think Liverpool, and especially Richard Hughes and the team, they're not going to put their name in the hat for something, especially around the one. If you're going to pay top dollar and then get refused again, surely not, Jake.
Like, we can only hope that that's not the situation. But when you're dealing with this, obviously this caliber of a signing, you're going to be dealing with some heavy competition, and we're dealing with some heavy competition in Bayern and in Man City. But the only kind of cautiousness that I want to throw out there is these types of signings this summer. As we mentioned already, there's only so many of these names that are available. You got Wirtz, you might have Isak, whether he's available or not, we don't know. Other $100 million signings that might be available this summer to make a statement across Europe as far as bringing in that caliber of player. You might be able to name one or two more players. So if you strike out on Wirtz and you strike out on Isak, then you might be left with nothing. So that's the only concern that I had, is we got to get one of these major signings across the line, really strengthen this squad, make that statement, and really go again next season.
Look, Jake, Blender, Brahimaj, thank you for the super chat. He's put a message, Julian Alvarez, question mark. Is he £100 million signing that you will be happy with? Because he's probably another one, but I think it's probably difficult to take him out of Atletico after one
I, ne-
season.
I never thought that that was a realistic transfer when that news broke. You asked me, is he a name that would make that statement type of signing? The answer to that would be yes. If you ask me if you can get him out of Atletico Madrid after one season, I would tell you there's no way. So I don't think that's a realistic name. I think that name has come up, you know, I don't know where from nowhere, but it's not realistic. It's not a player that's going to be leaving that club
We
this
did
summer.
like him,
So
Jake. Liverpool did like him before he went to Atletico. We were linked to him, but
Liverpool
obviously
likes
there was going to be
everybody.
no
So the
way,
fact that
but
they
there was
like him,
no way Man City were going to sell to us at that time.
yeah, that's also true. Man City weren't going to sell to us, but you're not going to be able to get him out of Madrid. It just doesn't make any sense.
No, look, I get that completely. But Jake, going through, I think today has been a day where we've just been linked to so many players. And it's good news. And it was definitely good news from me, Jake. The minute I saw a tweet where we were linked to Adam Wharton, I
I
ain't gonna
knew,
lie,
I
Jake. I was
knew,
I
I
was
knew, I
over the
knew you would
moon
comment
when I
on this
saw
player.
Adam Wharton. Because I've been calling out for Adam Wharton for Liverpool to sign Adam Wharton now for at least a year. Because for me, he's an unbelievable footballer. And when I saw a tweet come out, I'll read the tweet out. Look, Jake, it's early doors, but I'm obviously gonna get excited about it. Where's that tweet gone? Right, it was from Jack Gohan, mate. For me, he's Fabrizio Romano right now. So he basically goes, Liverpool are monitoring the situation of Adam Wharton. Now, Adam Wharton, Jake, is one player that I really am willing to throw the kitchen sink at.
You've been
Really,
banging on the table for this player, as you mentioned, for a year, and I don't want to downplay the player. He's a good player. It's a player that we absolutely could use. It would be a great signing. However, it's not a statement signing like Alexander Isak. It's not a statement signing like Florian Wirtz. It's a level or two below that. Doesn't mean it's not a good signing, but it's not a great signing, and we need a minimum of one
not a
great
great
signing.
signing.
It's not at the
Adam
level of
Wharton.
Alexander Isak or Florian Wirtz. No, not even
Okay,
close.
maybe right now, Jake, I can accept that he is not a, Isak level or a Florian Wirtz level signing.
That's all that I'm
But
saying. It's a good
but I
signing for
kid,
sure.
but I kid you not. This Adam Wharton footballer in 3 or 4 years' time, he is gonna maybe in two. I genuinely believe this guy is gonna be one of the best midfielders that you will see, especially in the Premier League. This guy has everything, and he will be in your midfield for the next 10 years. Guaranteed. He's an unbelievable footballer. The way he caresses the ball and his passing ability from his position is unbelievable. Yes, there might be slightly question marks over his ability in terms of physicality, in terms of running side to side, in terms of in that sort of sense. But this lad is one unbelievably gifted footballer, and I was willing in the summer to go and throw money at him. Right? Everybody
All the
knows I was willing to go and throw money at him. I want us to go and sign Adam Morton. If he's in the region of 60, 70 million pound, it is a no-brainer. You go and sign this player. I'm telling you,
I'm
Jake, 60, 70 million, 70 million quid right now, whatever just go and sign this footballer. Because this player is going to be one of your players there for 10 years.
very first thing I want to say is I agree with you. He brings a lot to the table that this club needs. It's a position of need, it's attributes and a profile of need. He fills a lot of holes for this team. The only thing that I'm saying, and I want to make this very clear, if that's our biggest signing of the summer, it's not good enough. That's all that I'm saying. We need a
Okay,
bigger
look,
signing than Adam Wharton this summer. Doesn't matter what position. It could be in the 10, it could be in the 9, it could be in the 6. Whatever the case is, we need a bigger name than Adam Wharton this summer to really carry us on into next season. But my question to you is, because I know you've been banging on the table for Adam Wharton for 2 years now, a year plus now, whatever the case is, you have a choice. The money's the same. Adam Wharton or Carlos Baleba. Which one are you taking?
Jake, I can't go against Adam Morton.
Really?
I know I've been crying out for physicality, yeah. I have been crying out for physicality, but I'm sorry, I have to go Wharton. I
Okay.
love
I'm
Adam
surprised. I'm
Morton as a
surprised to hear
footballer,
that. All
Jake.
right.
I know. Because I've been banging on about Baleba physicality in that midfield. We lack physicality. But anybody else, it'd be Baleba, but not Adam
Let,
Wharton.
let me ask you
I
this.
genuinely believe Wharton is gonna in a year or two, Jake. He's gonna be up there. We need a player
Let me
that's
ask
up
you
there.
this, and it's probably an unrealistic proposition, but I'm gonna ask it anyways. Let's say Florian Wirtz is already signed. Does that change your opinion on whether you want Wharton or Baleba, or are you still going Wharton? You have Wirtz in the team. Do you still want Wharton, or now you want Baleba?
So a midfield of Wharton. So the midfield is going to be Wharton, McAllister, right? Wirtz, or Baleba, McAllister, Wirtz. Then it's
Correct.
Baleba.
Then it's Baleba for me too.
Then it make it. From a footballing perspective, I get it. When you've signed the likes of Florian
Florian
Wirtz, I
Wirtz.
get it. But look, a lot of people still want Wirtz, Jake. Sorry, a lot of people still look Morgo, still Wharton. Um, Wirtz overrated. Kaiser Soze still Wharton. Ah, interesting. A lot of people saying maybe what if he's bought to play in the false nine and we sign him? Then what do you do? If he's signed and he's made to play in the false nine and not the 10, then it's
Right.
on. Then I can go Wharton.
You can still go
If
Wharton
he's
for
bought to
sure.
be if he's gonna be playing the false nine, then I can go Wharton.
The problem is if he's playing the false nine, you don't have who's scoring goals for you. You got a bunch of
This guy
false
scores a
nines.
lot of great. Yeah, I'm telling you. But have you seen bloody Florian versus goal scoring record? I'm sure
Yeah, he
somebody
can
will.
score. I mentioned that
The
earlier. He's
guy
gonna give you
scores all
10
the time,
goals.
man. But a lot of people are saying Belabor as well, to be fair. A lot, I get it because a lot, we do lack physicality, especially when we play the, teams like Newcastle. We saw that in this season where we really, really struggled. Look at this, man. That's some numbers, man. That is some number 0.73 GA per 90. That he's on a different level.
Who
Excuse
is
me,
that?
Jake. That's Florian Wirtz's numbers, Jake. Guys, they're really, really good numbers.
Yeah,
I
of
would
course.
love for us to sign Florian Wirtz this summer, and I would be buzzing. Question, and you know me, I like these type of questions. If we don't sign Florian Wirtz, right, then you're gonna start looking at players like the likes of Xavi Simons, Ryan Shirky. They're probably the two players. Simmons is probably the one where you're gonna be playing probably around the 70 million pound mark, right? Would you classify him as a statement signing?
No. For for it's a similar signing as Adam Wharton, and it's a good signing. I don't want to sit here and pretend like a 70 million pound signing is not a brilliant signing. It's a brilliant signing, but it's not the statement signing that this club needs to put down. We need to leave a marker, and that marker, so I keep repeating myself. There aren't many names that are available. So if you strike out on one or two names, there aren't any left. You have Alexander Isak, you have Florian Wirtz, and you might have one more name that I can't think of right now off the top of my head, and those are probably it for the summer. And after that, you go down to the Adam Whartons, to the Xavi Simons, to the 60, 70 million pound signings that
Yeah, but Jake,
are
if we're
brilliant
signing
signings.
players, but if we just imagine we can't get the likes of a Florian Wirtz, but we end up with players like a 70 million Wharton, a 70 million Xavi Simons, and a what's his name, Frimpong, and then Kirkers. Them four players, that's a really, really good window with them four players.
It's a
Maybe we
very
still
good
lack
window,
one.
and I don't want to downplay it. And I don't want to sound like I'm talking down on 70 million pound signings like they're nothing. These are brilliant players. What I'm saying is, I want this club to sign
You want
a
a one
world
statement,
class
proper.
signing. That's
I
what I'm
get that.
looking for this summer. We make one
There's
world
a
class signing, whether it's Florian Wirtz, Alexander Isak, whatever it is. The rest of the league can forget about the Premier League next season. Manchester City, Arsenal, and Newcastle, Chelsea, whoever think they're competing with us next season, it's over if you bring an Alexander Isak or a Florian Wirtz into this team next season. It's over. I'm telling you right now, it's over. And that's the type of signing I want to make.
Okay, then is this guy a statement sign? Is this guy a world class statement signing? People are mentioning his name.
I would love Rodrygo. I'm a very, very big fan of Rodrygo, and he's very close to that level. I don't think he's at the level of Florian Wirtz or Alexander Isak, but he's right below them. He's so close. He's
Yeah,
closer than Wharton. He's closer than Xavi Simons.
yeah, of course.
He's that next group right below them, and I would love him as a player. Before we were linked to Florian Wirtz yesterday, Rodrigo's name came up 2 days ago, and I was over the moon thinking we had an opportunity to sign him as a player. If I'm being realistic with you, I don't see any way he leaves Madrid. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But if he does leave Madrid and we sign him, I'll be over the moon with that type of signing.
Well, if you look at if you, I think obviously with Xabi Alonso taken over, and maybe a slight tweak in system with he likes to play, three at the back, then five across. I'm thinking, where does Rodrygo fit? Ben Jacobs came out today and he said Liverpool are aware of Rodrygo being a market opportunity. So it seems like if there's a player that they're gonna have to let go, it's gonna be Rodrygo the summer, Jake. So he probably is on the market.
I don't want to say he's probably on the market. He might be on the market, and if he is, it's going to be an expensive transfer. You're probably looking at anywhere between 80 to 100 million for this type of player. But is he a statement signing? I would say yes. He's a statement signing. He's in that level of Julian Alvarez.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think I think I agree with you. I think he's probably one that, and I know he's a signing that I would like because I know he can play on the right, he can play on the leg. There is real versatility in his play. If we ever do need him to
You
play
can
on
probably play
either
him
flank,
centrally.
he's a, and to be every time I've seen him play, he always scores. He must have an unbelievable scoring record because every time I see him play, there's times where I don't feel like he does much, but he always manages to be on the score sheet. And that's a really really good trait to have the guy because we need numbers, Jake, especially especially if you're going to be in a Liverpool front three. But I think we're gonna have to. I think it's gonna be a long, long summer, Jake. With this summer, we've got so many players that we're already linked to. I saw a link today. On I know it's just a link saying that Liverpool are keen on Franco Mastantuano. He's that young wonder kid. You probably know a bit more about him than I do. The Argentinian wonder kid. But reports came out that he might be going to Real Madrid. Have you seen much of him?
No, I'm located in South America, but I haven't seen too much of this kid. I'd be lying to you if I told you that I follow South American local football all that closely. Obviously, I've heard of him. People rave about him. He's going for a pretty big amount in
Yep.
regards to his age. I think the kid's only like 17 years old, like you mentioned. Um, it would be a brilliant sign if we could get that type of name over the line, but I'd be surprised, if every major top club in Europe weren't after him. So I'm not sure if that's the type of signing that we would make.
I think, Jake, there's times where you have to take a risk on a youngster of this type of this sort, where you're gonna have to pay. If you feel, this guy is a world class talent, then you're gonna have to go and spend the money. And if we're not gonna be signing the likes of a Florian Wirtz, then maybe it's a signing where you think, you know what, we're gonna go all in. It's a risk. There is a risk to this signing, risk because he's only 17 years old, but the reward is huge there because he is a fantastic footballer, and I think they might. But I just think Real Madrid have probably got him pretty boxed up because they genuinely like the signing of Rodrygo and Vinicius. They and even the other young kid that Madrid signed, that idiot that fouled Konate, him. They generally signed them for big bucks when they were really really young. So it'd be interesting to see how that one plays out. But Jake, one more footballer I wanted to touch on was Ibrahimo Konate. Uh, Obviously, we saw the news. Well, yeah, I think you've seen the news as well that Hoyson's most likely going to be going to Real Madrid. We're pretty much close to a here we go. I think they're going to be triggering their release clause, and I think so. I read somewhere where his dad's given him till tomorrow to get everything wrapped up before he can start talking, or he's going to start talking to the club. But I think that's a load of crap. I think if he's made his mind, he's probably going to be going to Real Madrid. But Ibu Konate, I think this was Ian Doyle in the sport. He said Liverpool are keeping an open mind over their centre back options, given doubts persist over the long term future of Ibrahima Konate, with the player about to enter the last 12 months of his current deal. Two questions for you, Jake. Are you worried about Ibrahima Konate not signing this summer? And if he doesn't sign, do you sell?
This is a very difficult question for me to answer because I don't want to sell Konate. I don't want to sell him. They make that
Okay.
very, very clear. Um, but if he doesn't sign an extension, it really starts to force your hand, or you have to consider selling him. You don't want to lose this player for free next season. The counter argument to that is you have Mo for 2 years, you have Virgil for 2 years. Who knows what this club is going to look like 2 years from now? So the window is open for sure for the next 2 seasons. After that, some question marks start to arise. So let's say you get rid of Konate right now because he doesn't sign an extension. You take a little bit of risk in that regard for continuing on the success we had this season into next season because Konate was a huge piece of our success this season. So there's a lot of arguments for keeping him. There's a lot of arguments for selling him. If I'm forced to make a decision, which is very difficult for me, I think I hang on to him, even if he doesn't sign a contract. And if that opens the door to potentially losing him on a free next season, I understand that. But I think it's just so hard to replace what he offers because he offers so much. And we're talking about having Frimpong on the right and how attack minded he is as a player. You need a player that can cover that right channel like Konate that has the pace, the strength, the recovery, um, and that can play in a high line like we play, that can defend as well as he can. Those types of players, they don't grow on trees. I don't know who
I
in
agree.
world football you can find to replace Konate doing that job. So even if you want to sell him, a guy like Hoyson isn't. Even if you brought him in, I know he's going to Madrid, but even if you brought him in, it's not a like for like replacement. He's not a player that's going to be able to do what Konate does.
I would sell, if I'm honest with you,
You
Jake.
would sell.
I am not allowing, especially with what's happened with the Trent saga, I am not allowing um, one of our main centre backs to leave on a free. I would get rid. I'm not
Okay,
allowing another
let me ask
player
you a
who's
different
that is
question.
gone. Who would you
He
replace
has
him with?
1 year. He has 1 year left on his contract.
Yeah,
Madrid probably aren't coming to the table to pay for him, and I say probably because I can't rule them out completely. They still need center backs, but they just bought Hoyson, so they're probably not coming to the table. Maybe you
agreed.
have TSG that are willing to
They're
buy
they're,
him.
they're obsessed with him, Jake.
They are obsessed with him.
PSG are obsessed with Konate.
But my question to you is, let's say PSG are offering 50 million pound, and they're not going above 50. He's worth more than 50. You and I know that. Are you selling him for 50? He's only got 1 year left on his contract. You're not going to get 80 million pound for this player.
It's a difficult one, Jake. The biggest issue that I've got with all of this is if you don't sell, you've got him going next season on a free. Year after that, Verge is gone as well. You've got no money out of both of them. You have to cash in.
That's very true.
You have to cash in. You can't let your mainstay two centre backs, Jake,
If
leave completely and not even one penny come through the door. You have to
if
cash in.
if you sell Ibu this summer, you need two center backs. One
I
center back
agree.
replacing Ibu doesn't do anything. You downgraded there most likely, and you still need a third center back.
No, I agree with you. We definitely need to go and sign more sign centre back. We need. I feel as though we need two right now because I just don't think Joe Gomez is going to be fit enough, and I just don't rate Jarell Quansah anymore. I just think you know what, maybe he needs a loan this summer. He needs to go play his football elsewhere for a year, and let's see and let's see how good he is in a year's time. Then we can decide what we're going to do with him. We have to be. You have to be able to sell and move on. You have to be able to sell. I can't accept us getting another penny for navigated receive. No money come through the door. I understand there's probably other players out there that are probably nowhere near as good, but we have to make it. We have to put ourselves in a situation where we're not sat here bloody having a go at Trent and we're sat here doing the same thing when it concerns Konate. I genuinely think. Look, I think the deal gets done. If I'm perfectly
That's
honest,
best case
I think
scenario.
the deal.
Best case scenario, I think we agree on is he signs an extension.
Yeah, no, and I think it will get done, but there is a possibility that it doesn't get done because we don't. From I think it was a day or two ago, there was a report that there hasn't been any real progress in regards to Konate's contract, which is a bit weird because the news first broke. I think it was October that Liverpool there's contract talks going on with Konate, Quansah signed, and then all of a sudden Konate's contract went quiet, and now I sat here. questioning with 1 year left on his contract, what are we going to do in regards to him? But Simon Eriksson says, your thoughts on Ronald Araujo? Question mark. What do you think of him, Jake?
He's a player that a couple of years ago was, very, very highly regarded. For whatever reason, I don't keep up with Barcelona all that closely. I know he's been injured a lot over the last year or so. But every game that I've seen from Barcelona, he doesn't start. So I'm not entirely sure what his form is like. I'm pretty sure when he does play, he's the captain there, but he's a good player for sure, but I think for whatever reason, his value has decreased over the last 2 years or so. Because probably about 2 years ago, he was considered one of the best center backs in the world, and I don't think he's at that level right now. And again, I'm not sure if that's form. I'm not sure if it's injuries. I'm not sure if it's a combination of the two. And I'm not really sure what his status is in the Barcelona team. But that's a good name. That's a player that absolutely I would consider bringing in as a center back option. But if I'm not mistaken, I think he just signed an extension at Barcelona recently.
I'm not too sure about the extent, but no, he doesn't. He doesn't start many games for them now, though, Jake. For the last few games that I've seen at Barcelona, he doesn't start. So maybe there is a chance that what we can prize him out of Barcelona. But there was some super chats, Jake. I missed earlier. Blend again. He mentions. He goes, if not Wirtz, would you pick Xavi Simons or Shirky? Shirky.
Simons for me, Xavi Simons for me, 100%, 100 times out of 100.
Agree. I agree with that one. Next one. I would get Sesko over Ekitike. Agree.
I think those are both similar level signings. I'm being honest with you guys. If we sign one of those two players as our striker signing for this summer, I'll be disappointed. That's not good enough for this club, in my opinion.
And big up to Kibria. Kibria goes, me, Saj, AW, MBA, been on Wharton's case on the group chat baller. We have been on Wharton's case for a while. Let's just hope that there is some sort of legs to the actual Wharton deal. I really hope that we manage to get this over the line. Let's engage with the chat, Jake. There's we still like M Matt goes, we still like Branthwaite. That's a name that's been doing the rounds. He was doing the rounds last summer. I definitely think I really like him. Can we
I
can we
honestly don't.
leave?
I don't want this player if I'm being honest with you. The Everton ties obviously don't thrill me. I don't like him as a footballer on the ball type of skills. The Murillo kid from Nottingham Forest interests me more than the center back from Everton. But let me ask you one quick question.
Go on.
I don't know how much more time we have in here, but before we get out of here, let me ask you one question. You have a choice. You got to pick one player. Both players are available, same price tag. You can only have one of them. Alexander Isak or Florian Wirtz. Which player are you choosing as a statement signing for this summer for this club?
All summer I've been saying Alexander Isak. I got you, and I know we need a number 9.
I go Isak 10 times out of 10
So,
also.
but I love Florian Wirtz, Jake, and I've been
So do
I've been
I.
going on about Florian Wirtz for over 2.5 years.
I'm not going
I've
to
been
be
saying
disappointed if we
Wirtz,
sign him
Wirtz,
either.
Wirtz. Wow, the chat, Jake, is Wirtz mad.
I'm not surprised. He's
Wow.
he's he's
Right, Isak won, then you got Wirtz. Mosin goes Isak. Yeah. Scout SA Scouser, Isak, Kathy, Wirtz, Isak. Let's not take the piss. Mark Isak, let's not take the piss. But then it's just like Wirtz. Actually, the same bloody people, man. Ali, man, what are you doing? You're supposed to say it once, not 3 times. Mateus goes Wirtz, Ahmed Tijani, Wirtz. قسم اليزيا علي مع القسم باسكال Saif goes Wirtz.
Darwin.
Keep him, Asim, you keep him. Cash goes Wirtz. James Wirtz. Altaf. Bloody hell, this is Wirtz crazy. I wasn't expecting them to be that many Wirtz over Isak, Jake.
I'm not surprised if I'm being honest. He's considered
Yeah?
a better player than Alexander Isak. I prefer Isak, but most people prefer Wirtz from what I've gathered before this poll.
I like it. I've been, the thing is, I've been saying Isak because we need a 9. Florian Wirtz gives us something different, man.
He definitely gives us something different.
And I think he gives us something that we really lack, and especially with Trent going. You mentioned it earlier, Jake, that with the lack of creativity, this is one that we really do. We do need both. And when you've got Alexander Isak, you've got somebody who does the hardest thing in football, put the ball in the back of the net. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
You
But guys,
can't go
Jake, we
wrong
said
with
this.
either one of those.
Oh, 100%. I'd take either one of those all day long. And I think either signing would send real shockwaves. But guys, this was a quick show me and Jake were going to do. Jake has to leave as well. And I thought, you know what? Because of Adam what was mentioned, we had to do a quick one. For those of you coming late, do like and subscribe to the channel. Asim we are going to be doing a lot more content. We did our first show, midday show. Asim did today. So do check it out. And yeah, hopefully you will see me. I think Avi's traveling tomorrow, but I'm sure the guys will do a show tomorrow night. So again, guys, take care of yourself. Jake, thank you very much. If you're free
Always a
tomorrow, you'll
pleasure,
be on.
bro.
Damn go Chin bomber. Listen, I don't do no bombers from my side, man. I don't do no bombers. Like all I can say was the race between Alexander for what's his name?
Florian Wirtz.
Florian Wirtz is between Liverpool and Bayern Munich. And we all know how it's going in terms of what's happening with Bayern Munich. So I genuinely believe that we're all in, and I genuinely believe in my heart, my personal opinion, that we will sign Florian Wirtz. Take care, guys, and
Later.
goodbye.